Warning: this fictitious story contains themes of a disturbed mind, confused individual, and bloody battery. Don't watch if you're sensitive to these themes. Now please enjoy the unfortunate and unseen. Mindfuck. The circus. A place where people can leave behind their troubles with reality and just let themselves be swept up in entertainment they could find nowhere else. That was where the true magic happened. At least, that was the case for one man in particular. For as long as he could remember, the moving circus was his only home and sanctuary. His father had been part of a moving circus as part of a duo act, and then, at the time he reached his 12th age, his father left the circus with his performing partner and hadn't really returned at all. But it was okay. He said he was going off on a trip for a business that could get both him and his father out of the circus. He didn't say anything at the time, but he didn't really want to leave the circus. It was his home and his family. So when his father and partner didn't return, he wasn't too worried about it. He had more time to stay at the circus after all. And also, he felt he could better articulate his want to remain in the circus once his father finally returned for him. But for now, he could just focus on perfecting his art of performance and trickery to prove his father he was right to remain where he was and become even better. And he felt he was doing just fine. He has certainly made a name for himself during his father's absence. While he wanted to become a clown and make people laugh and entertain them, he also dabbled in several different acts and skills because of his passion to expand his performative palette. They ranged from the simple talent of juggling and trick writing into the advanced skill of aerial acrobatics, of tightrope walking and trapeze. He doesn't do tightrope walking too often, though, due to the fact he gets too bored taking his time walking the tightrope and practically always falling off the wire. Enough to the point where he was banned from joining in the tightrope walking classes indefinitely. But that was neither here nor there. Apart from the circus act, he'd been fortunate enough not to break really any bone in his body, and when he did, he healed relatively quickly with little to no issues at all. He was always so amazed by their circus nurse. Because of her expertise, he'd never needed to really visit the hospital. Nobody at the carnival really ever did, from what he could recall, though. And unfortunately, most people who were very hurt were made to leave the circus. He suspected they weren't completely healed by the nurse and did something that made their wounds worse. But then there were others that weren't hurt at all and still left the circus. It was very sad, but he never really thought too much about it as new people came rolling in to try out for the circus as well. It was always so exciting to meet the new people and introduce himself to them. As mentioned before, he had made a name, or several, for himself in the circus and among his peers. He was often called Cortes de Luces, Tiene mala leche, Está como una cabra, and his most infamous name, Bromista Blanco. He doesn't understand Spanish, but he knows that whatever those names meant must have been really good. And whenever he listed off those names, it made all of the new people who were Spanish speakers burst up into laughter. It made him feel really good. However, that was until he noticed one not laughing. It was a young girl, probably younger than him by a couple of years, with long shimmering dark raven hair that fell in cascades down her back, clear and fair skin tinged with a beautiful tawny beige color, and eyes as dark as glistening polished onyx crystals. His heart stopped at the sight of her, and her beautiful eyes shifted quickly off to the side at his attention before slightly easing back timidly. He'd fallen in love.